Hello everybody. Welcome back to our second week of video lectures together doing first form Latin. I hope that all of you had a chance to do the quiz, that you did well on the quiz. If you did not do well on the quiz, now you know what you need to work on. Don't look at it as a failure, it's a way to get better. And that's what these quizzes are really. They're a way to tell you what you're doing wrong, what you haven't memorized as well as you should, which is the most likely thing. We are going to move into the very last unit of your book. We're on lesson 29 this week, and we're going to learn, the last thing you're going to learn together in first form Latin is to look at the next conjugation, second conjugation. But before we do that, I would like to do a verb review with all of you. Again, you can always pause the video if you want to see if you can do things on your own. Same with the sentences we're going to do together in a few minutes. But first of all, I think we should do a verb synopsis together. Let's do a first conjugation verb. Let me get my whiteboard. All right, let me get this set up. Okay, that looks pretty good. Hopefully I will get a little better at this week. I can't promise you, but I'm trying. So let's do laudo. Principal parts of laudo: laudo, laudare, laudavi, laudatus. You should remember these are the standard principal parts of a first conjugation verb. I'm going to move over just a little bit. There we go. A standard principal parts of a first conjugation verb. We've learned 4 verbs that are irregular. Let's do them together. The first one's do. Do, dari, dedi, datus. Sto, stari, steti, status. Uvo, uvare, uvi, utus. Lavo, lavari, lavi, lautus. All the rest of the verbs that you've learned, all the rest of these first conjugation verbs, have principal parts that look like this. Laudo, what does it mean? It means I praise. It's the first person singular present tense. Laudari, what does it mean? To praise. It is the infinitive form. Laudavi, what does it mean? I praised. It's the first person singular perfect tense. Laudatus, it means praised. It is the participle. We're not really using those this year, but it's like an adjective. A praised boy, a sent letter. It's when we use a verb as an adjective to describe a noun. Like I said, we're not using that in first form Latin, but it's good for you to remember what each part means. There is something very special about the infinitive. Think for a minute and see if you can remember what it is. There's actually 2 special things. One thing is, if I take away the RE, everything that's left behind, the lauda, is the stem that you're going to add all the present system endings to. The other important thing is the ARE. Every Latin verb that has an infinitive that ends in ARE is first conjugation. That's how we know the conjugation, by the ending of the infinitive. Okay, so let's do a synopsis of laudo. Let's do it in second person singular. What is second person singular? You. You singular, okay? And let's do it in present, imperfect, future, perfect, pluperfect, and future perfect. Okay, so first of all, let's conjugate laudo in the present tense. Laudo, laudas, laudat, Laudamus, laudatus, laudant. So laudas is our second person singular. What does it mean? You praise. You are praising. Or you do praise. Those are our three ways to conjugate or to translate a present tense verb in Latin. Let's conjugate in the imperfect. Laudabam, laudabas, laudabat, laudabamus, laudabatus, laudabant. Laudabas. You were praising. Good. Future. Laudabo, laudabis, laudabit, laudabimus, laudabitus, laudabunt. So we have laudabis. You will praise. Now we have to do the perfect system. And to find the stem for that, we go to our third principal part, which gives us the stem, laudav. So I'm going to write the stem for each of these. And now let's add the endings. For perfect tense, it's our I, isti, it endings. Laudavi, laudavisti, laudavit, laudavimus, laudavistus, laudaverant. So laudavisti. You praised. You have praised. Or you did praise. Pluperfect. This is where we add the aram, eras, erat endings. Laudave ram, laudave ras, laudave rat, laudave ramus, laudave ratus, laudave rant. So we have laudave ras. Sorry about that. You had praised. Okay, one more. This is where we add the ero, eris, erit endings. Laudave ro, laudave ris, laudave rit, laudave rimus, laudave ritus, laudave rint. So we have laudave ris. You will have praised. Fabulous. Ooh. Can't quite see that. I'm going to lift that up. Okay, there we go. All right. Now, I know that some of you have felt a little off about the be verb. Just a little, even though it's not irregular really in the perfect system, you just haven't used it as often. So I would like us to go ahead and do a synopsis of the be verb as well together. Get rid of this. Okay. Principal parts of the be verb. Sum, esse, fui, futurus. Okay. We're going to do, let's do third person singular, which is he, she, or it. We're going to do it in the present, imperfect, future, perfect, pluperfect, future perfect. Okay, present tense. Sum es est, sumus estis sunt. Est means he, she, or it is. Imperfect. Eram, eras, erat, eramus, eratus, erant. Erat. He, she, or it was. Future. Ero, eris, erit, erimus, eritus, erunt. Erit. He, she, or it will be. Now, for the perfect system, we go to our third principal part. That gives us our stem, fu. Now we add the endings on. Perfect. Fui, fuisti, fuit, fuimus, fuistus, fuerunt. Fuit. He, she, or it has been. Remember, we can't just say he, she, or it has. We have to make sure that it makes sense if we put an adjective at the end. We don't say he, she, or it has happy, but we can say has been happy. Future perfect. Fu ero, fu eris, fu erit, fu erimus, fu eritus, fu e. Oh, I'm doing future perfect. Fu eram, fu eras, fu erat, fu eramus, fu eratus, fu erant. Fu erat. I don't know what I was thinking. He, she, or it had been. Okay, now it's time for future perfect. Fu ero, fu eris, fu erit, fu erimus, fu eritus, fu erint. So we have fu erit. He, she, or it will have been. Okay, well done. Keep practicing those. You know, you can do a synopsis on your own at home. You don't need me. You can pick a person and a number and try it, and then check yourself in the back of the book, in the back of your student book, where all of your, you have a model verb conjugated in all the tenses, and you can check yourself. Or if you want to be really diligent, just pick a verb and conjugate it out in all 6 tenses, or do the be verb. Keep practicing them, because it's very easy to get out of practice and little things slip away if you don't keep reviewing. Okay, now let's take a look at lesson 29. Get this out of the way. Why don't you get your student books out and open them to page 74. And at the top of your student book, you will see a new verb conjugated. The verb is moneo. Moneo means warn. We have a word in English, admonish. Admonish comes from moneo, because if you admonish someone, it's sort of correcting them for their behavior, but it's also warning them that if they don't straighten up, bad things are going to happen to them in the future. So I admonish you all, if you're not reviewing your verbs and your nouns, all your declension endings, that bad things will happen in your Latin study. I don't know, maybe not bad, but it won't be as easy. Okay, so let's take a look at this new verb moneo. Here are its principal parts. Moneo, monere, monui, monitus. Now, the first thing I notice is that it has an EO. Now, it just so happens that all second conjugation verbs have an EO like that. It's not the most important thing we're going to notice, but they do all have it. The really important thing is the infinitive. Do you remember I told you just a few minutes ago that all Latin verbs that have an infinitive that end in A-R-E are first conjugation verbs? Well, all Latin verbs with an infinitive of E-R-E with a little line over the E, long E-R-E, they are all second conjugation. That's how we know what conjugation they are, by looking at the infinitive. Now, to stress that long E, I like to pronounce it monere. So I say moneo, monere, monui, monitus. And you know, it kind of has this rhythmic quality to it. Moneo, monere, monui, monitus. Makes it easier to learn. Now, there are a few irregular verbs in the second conjugation, just like in the first. But for normal second conjugation verbs, these are what the principal parts look like. Okay? Now, to conjugate moneo, or any second conjugation verb in the present tense, it looks like this. Moneo, mones, monet, monemus, monetus, monent. Now, first thing to notice, O-S-T, mus, tis, nt, has exactly the same endings. Let me get this straightened up here. Has exactly the same endings. But the A that you're used to seeing with the first conjugation is gone. Now, listen to me very carefully. You're going to want to do this. All students want to do this because you're used to saying amo, amas, amat, amamus, amatus, amat, porto, portas, portat, portamus, portatus, portant. And when you get to the second conjugation, you're going to want to say moneo, monias, moniat, moniamus, moniatus, moniant. No, there's no A. Moneo, mones, monet, monemus, monetus, monet. Remember how we found our stem with the first conjugation? That we came up to the infinitive and we took away the RE and everything that was left was the stem? Monet is your stem. There's no A. All right, A was part of the first conjugation stem, not second conjugation. All right, so if you, I'm going to put this down and get the book back out. If you want to grab your book again, let's look together. So you will see at the top of the page there, they have conjugated Moneo for you. I warn, you warn, he, she, it warns, we warn, you warn, they warn. Just like first conjugation. There's no difference here except that the stem vowel is an E, not an A, and the infinitive is different. Okay, so we've got a list of new words to learn, and I would like to put those on the board and talk about each one. Let me get rid of our Moneo. Okay. First up, these are the order they're in my book. Some of you have a book and your words are in a different order, but mine appear to be in alphabetical order, so I think they're going to be the same as yours. The first one in my book is debio. It says debio, and then it has this behind it. They're telling you that the first two parts of debio are debio debere, and they're reminding you this is what the infinitive looks like, so you know it's a second conjugation verb, because every verb with an infinitive that ends in long E-R-E, it's second conjugation. Debio means owe or ought. Okay. Now the owe you're familiar with. You know, if you owe someone money, you owe them a favor. But ought is interesting use. Think about when we say we ought to do something in English. I'll use it a few ways. I ought to clean my room. I ought to obey my parents. I ought to plant some flowers. I ought to make my bed. Do you notice how in every case the thing that comes after ought is an infinitive? I ought to eat. I ought to sleep. I ought to pay. I ought. We always use it with an infinitive. It doesn't make sense otherwise. And you know what? It's the same in Latin. So often you will see in Latin the word debio, I ought, and then you might have an infinitive, well, I ought to love, amare. I could make that the capital letter. Okay, and that's a Latin sentence. I ought to love. We could even have a Latin sentence with an object. How about portare puellam debio. I ought to carry what? To carry the girl. I don't know, maybe she's hurt, maybe she's sick. So this is an object of carry. Carry what? Carry girl. So watch for that. And in fact, on page 75 of your student book at the top, they give you examples of that. I ought to walk. You ought to sit. Okay, so be on the lookout of that use of debio. Next word on your list is docio. Dokio dokere. Dokio means teach. The fourth principal part of dokio is actually doctus. And so a lot of people don't realize this, but a doctor was originally someone who was qualified to teach, not a medical person. So we still notice that when people go to graduate school and they get a doctorate, they get a doctor's degree. What a doctor's degree means is that you are well enough informed about that subject that you are able to teach it at a university level. But now we use it also for medical doctors as well. So dokio, teach. Their derivative that they gave you is docile. If someone is docile, they're easily taught. We should all be docile, I suppose, in that respect. We should all be willing and eager to learn. Okay, next up, gaudeo. Gaudeo, gaudere means rejoice. They give you the word, I love this derivative, gaudy. Do you know what gaudy clothes are? Have you ever heard someone referred to and they say they're dressed in a very gaudy way? It means, oh, big jewelry and flashy colors and often not in very good taste, but very flashy and big. Gaudy originally meant clothes that were colorful and flamboyant because you wore them on special days like feast days. You would wear your gaudy clothes. They're the clothes fit for an occasion of rejoicing. Now it's a derogatory thing. You don't want to be called gaudy. But back then it was not. It was not a derogatory thing at all. It was a good thing. I'm wearing my gaudy clothes because today is a rejoicing day. Okay. Next word in your list, habeo. Habeo, habere. Have. Their derivative that they give you is habit. The fourth principal part is habeo, habere, habui, habitus. Habitus. So a habit, think about what a habit is. It's something you do over and over so much that you don't have to think about it anymore, right? You get in the habit of picking up your clothes or making your bed or brushing your teeth. It's so much a part of you. It's something you actually have. It's something that you possess and possesses you. It's just so natural to you that it's a part of your being. That's the level at which you have it as part of yourself. A habit is something you have. Okay. Next word we already saw, moneo. Moneo, monere, warn. And monitor. Monitor is their word, their derivative. Moneo, monere, monui, monitus. Monitus is the fourth principal part. A monitor is someone who watches over something and they will warn you if there's a problem. There are recess monitors in schools. Basically, teachers are helpers that walk around and they make sure nobody's hurt and nobody needs anything, and they will warn someone if they do. So, monitor. Movio is the next word. Movio, movere. Movio looks like exactly what it means. Move. Now, this is fun. The principal parts of movio are irregular. Movio, movere, movi, motus. Motus is the fourth principal part. And like motor, motion. That's why all those words have a T in them, those words that have to do with moving, because the fourth principal part of movio is motus. All right, I'm going to, because I have trouble getting this up high enough, I'm going to put the rest of them over on this side. Sedio. Sedio, sedere. Sit. If you are very sedentary, you may find yourself being more sedentary than usual during the stay-at-home order. Sedentary means you sit around. It's not good to be too sedentary. Is that their... Oh, sedate. Sedate is their derivative. You're very calm if you're sedate, and if you're very calm, you're probably not moving around very much. You're sitting in one place. Sedio means sit. Tachio, or tacheo, if you want to do ecclesiastical pronunciation. Tachio means be silent, to not speak. Tacitus is the fourth principal part. And we have a word in English, tacit. If you give your tacit approval to something, it means you didn't say anything, you were silent, so that makes everyone think you agree with it. You know, if you don't speak up about something, everyone thinks you're going along with it, so you must agree with it. That's tacit approval or tacit acceptance. You're being quiet about it. Teneo. Teneo tenere. Hold. The fourth principal part of teneo is tentus. So tentacles. Tentacles, an animal has tentacles, and that's how it holds on to things. That's how it grabs things. Retention is holding on to something that you've learned. What's your retention level of your Latin vocabulary? It will get higher if you practice them every day. Okay, one last one. This is the easiest one of the whole bunch. Video. Video is a word we use in English. Video, it means a movie, right? So video means I see. Fourth principal part of video is visus. It's got an S in it. That's why we have words like visual and vision. That's why they have to do with seeing. It's because of the word video. All right. And their derivative is video. I feel like that's the easiest one of the bunch. So the first thing you need to do this week, you need to learn the new words. All right? And learn the infinitive of a second conjugation verb has that long E-R-E. All right? Your new saying, if you look at the top of page 74, video et tachio. I see and am silent. It's something so wonderful that I'm looking at, like my Latin verb synopsis. It's so wonderful. I see and am silent. That's your new addition to your list of sayings that I hope you are also reviewing at least a couple of times a week. Go through all of them. Have mom do it. Cover up. They're all listed in the back of your book. You can cover up the Latin and do the English. You can look at the English. You can cover up the English and look at the Latin. Do them both ways. All right? So I made up some sentences. We have to do sentences every week. You knew I would. Let's go through our sentences together. Again, you can shut off the video or pause it and give yourself a shot at translating on your own. But I will walk through each sentence with you. Okay? Regina servos opuniat. Let's try it out. Okay, start with the verb. Opunio means attack. Opunio, opunias, opuniat. It's present tense, okay? He, she, or it attacks. Is there anything in our sentence that could be the he, she, or it? Well, this has an ending that could be the subject. The queen attacks. Now we need a direct object. What does she attack? This has a direct object ending. It's accusative and it's plural. Slaves. The queen attacks the slaves. Let's try another one. Pedes sunt mani. Start with the verb. Sunt. Sum es est, sumus est sunt. It's the be verb. It's they are. What could be the they? This has a subject ending. Do you remember what pedis means? Feet. The feet are big. I'm not making any comments on anyone's feet. Now, it doesn't look like these match, does it? But remember, they're both plural, they're both masculine. Ooh, that was a crazy M. They're both masculine and they're both nominative. So they actually do match. All right, next sentence. Poeta nautas salutavit. Let's start with the verb. Salutavit. Saluto means greet. And this is the third principal part, so it must be in the perfect system. And I see the I, isti, it endings, so it must be perfect tense. He, she, or it greeted, or has greeted. What could be the he, she, or it? Well, this has a subject ending, so the poet greeted. Now we need a direct object, we need accusative, and here we are. It's plural and it's accusative, and it means sailors. The poet greeted the sailors. Good. Next. Multe leges errant bone. Start with the verb. Eram, eras, erat, eramus, eratus, erant. They were. What could be the they? Laws. Many laws. Remember, law is feminine. Many laws were good. So remember, laws is feminine. So technically, these all match. They're all plural and nominative and feminine. Okay. Miles vulnerare canem parabit. Let's start with the verb. It's got the bo, bis, bit endings, so it must be future. He, she, or it will prepare. What could be the he, she, or it? Well, miles can only be a subject. Soldier. The soldier will prepare. What will he prepare? To wound. To wound what? To wound the dog. I don't know. Before you get upset, maybe the dog was vicious. Maybe he's just a mean soldier. I don't know. All right? Notice, this is another one of those situations like I told you you might have with debio, where the verb has an infinitive as its object, and then the infinitive has another object. Okay, I would like you to grab your workbook. If you need to pause the video, go ahead and pause it. Go find your workbook. And I would like you to turn to page 155. Now, 155 you will see is sentence diagramming, which I don't ever ask you to do because not everybody diagrams, but I just thought it might be worthwhile to translate the sentences together that they're having you diagram. So the very first sentence is just one word, gaudent. Now, you might want to have your student book by you here at the same time, opened to page 74. And if you look at your student book, you will see that gaudio means rejoice. Remember those gaudy clothes? All right. So gaudent means they rejoice, or they are rejoicing. All right, good. Next up, multos milites hodie videmus. Let's start with the verb, videmus. Okay, you might remember video means see. And it's got a mus ending, so it must be we see. What do we see? Is there anything that could be the object? Well, I see multos milites. Those are accusative endings. Many soldiers. We see many soldiers hodie. Do you remember your adverbs? If not, review them this week. Hodie means today. We see many soldiers today. Good. Let's do the next one. Canes debent tacere. Let's start with debent. Remember, debio means oh or ought. Let's use ought in this case. The NT tells me it's they. They ought. Is there anything that could be the they? Well, canes. Canes is nominative and it's plural. It could be the subject. Dogs. The dogs ought. What ought they to do? Tacere. To be quiet. To be silent. Especially when you're trying to sleep. Okay, one more. Dies est novus. Start with the verb. Est. Sum es est. He, she, or it is. What could be the he, she, or it? Dies. Do you remember what dies means? Day. The day is novus. New. The day is new. Okay. Now, there's one thing more I want to do before we sign off for this week. I want you to turn in your workbook to page 154 because I think these exercises are a little tough and you might not be totally sure what you're supposed to do. So I want to do the first 2 of them together and then I'm going to have you do the last 3 on your own. Okay? So at the top of page 154, let me get this erased. My clock is ringing 2 o'clock. Can you hear it? Okay. It says, servus, many things, and that's underlined, movet. Now, I'm not sure if you've had exercises like this before. Maybe you have. What they want you to do is write many things in Latin and then translate the whole sentence. And of course, to write many things in Latin, we're going to have to translate some of the sentence anyway, just to see what case this is. So if I start with the verb, I see movet means move. It looks like move, doesn't it? He, she, or it moves. Is there anything that could be the he, she, or it? Servus, the slave. The slave moves many things. Oh, it's the object. So that means it has to be accusative and it has to be plural. We know that because it's the object. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is remember the word for things. Race, rei, rem, re, race, rerum, rebus, race, rebus. So the accusative plural for things is race. Now many. Now we're going to have to remember what gender things is. Do you remember what almost all fifth declension nouns are? They're almost all feminine. So I'm going to need to put many in a feminine accusative plural. Do you remember the word for many? Multus. So it's going to be multus. But what ending? Feminine, plural, accusative, multas. So you would write multas race on the line they give you, and then you would write out the servant moves many things. Let's do the second one together, and then you do the other 3 on your own. Okay. The next one says large homes. Hodie videmus. Let's start. Let's get this in there. Let's start with the verb, videmus. We see. We see large homes. Okay, so it's the object again. It's going to have to be accusative and it's going to have to be plural. What is the word for home? Domus. Us, ui, u, us, ibus, us, domus, with the little line. Okay, that's the plural. And then we've got to remember, oh, what gender is home? Okay, almost all fourth declension nouns are masculine, except for house and hand, domus and manus. And this is domus, so that means it's feminine. So they are manias domus. We see large homes today. So you would write on the space, you would write manias domus, and then you would translate it out, we see large homes today. Okay, good luck. Again, just like I said last week, if you have any questions, any problems, please, please email me, call me. I'm at home almost all the time right now. So give me a call and I will get my book out and we will look at it together. I would love to do that. If you just have an observation you want to share with me, call me. I would love for you to. Oh, and there's someone calling now. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.